Yo, salute to everybody already here in the building, man. You guys know what time it is. Welcome to the latest installment of the Graphic and Hammer Show, or the Hammer and Graph, however you want to slice it. Like my brother Wasted says, salute to the greatest chat in YouTube history. As always, I am one of your hosts, Graphic Raider, man. Make sure you guys wipe them feet, man. Break them thumbs. Hit that subscribe button if you guys are not subscribed yet. A lot to talk about, man. It's been really slow recently. This is that time of the year, you guys, where it gets really dark, really quiet in terms of football talk. So, we've taken, I think I've been gone for about 5 days. I know Hammer's been, working like crazy and doing other things, but guess what, man? We are back. There's a ton of articles that I would like to kind of give my take on today. But real quick, before we do that, I'm one of your hosts. Let's get your other host in the building. Lil Bro Hammer, what's good?
Acknowledge me.
You are acknowledged, kind sir. How are you feeling, man?
Good, man. Finally feeling good. Day off. I feel a little rested, so.
Yeah, 4 hours of sleep. Today. 4 hours of sleep. And you look cooked right now, too. I want to put that out there, but my dog is always thugging it out with me, man. Salute to the chat. I see Green Dot is heavy in the building. Salute to you guys. If you guys want to become members, hit the links. They're pinned up on both channels. It definitely helps us keep the lights on over here, especially in these dark days on YouTube, when it's so slow in the NFL. I also created something on YouTube. If you guys want to have a members-only show, I put a milestone up or a goal on YouTube. If we can reach that, we'll run a members only show tomorrow, man. How you feeling about everything right now going on in football? I know right now it's slow motion, man, but we got a ton to talk about. But how are you feeling about our Raiders? I think we're 3 weeks away from training camp. The 17th, the Rooks report, the 22nd, the Veterans report. How do you feel about this team as a whole right now with just those who are on the roster leading into training camp?
Good. I feel really good. And it's so funny because so many people outside of social media, people that I work with, are asking questions just about every single day. Because I'm walking around work, at least job one with my Raider towel everywhere I go. So yo, how you think they're gonna be? Da 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 da. I'm happy right now. This isn't really an optimistic type thing, and I've said this for weeks. I love what Spy Tech has done. Yeah. I love the culture change of Uncle Pete.
Yeah.
I like what they have built so far with this roster. I'm very happy right now.
I love that you mentioned Spy Tech and Pete right now, because this is where we're going to start the show off right here, you guys. There was a report that came out. Who was it? I think it was The Athletic. Mike Jones. Who? Mike Jones from The Athletic. He put it out there. This is interesting. Once again, it's slow motion. With football talk right now. So I don't know if this was just like a hot take to throw out there, but he has ties to general manager John Spytek. So there's some type of, relationship here, I guess. I don't know. But he put an article out there that stated that the Raiders were actually interested in potentially bringing in a different head coach, not named Ben Johnson and not named Uncle Pete. This is what he had to say. The Raiders, question mark, you ask? Yes, the Raiders. Yet another reset just might pay off in a big way. Starting near the top where Tom Brady lured highly regarded Tampa Bay talent evaluator John Spytek to the desert to be the general manager. The Raiders wanted Liam Cohen, Mr. Duval, to be their head coach, but wound up with Pete Carroll, who, given the state of the franchise, is probably better suited for the job. Anyway, these two figures bring leadership and credibility. They found an answer at quarterback, trading for Geno Smith once again. That wouldn't have happened without Pete in the building to solve the long-running need for stability at the position. And then they landed a potential difference maker in rookie running back Ashton Jeanty. Once again, I don't think we would have landed him, you guys, if Pete wasn't in charge at the quarterback. At the head coach. I know Spytek loves Ashton Jeanty, but once again, what does Pete like to do? He likes to run the football a lot. So went on to say the Raiders aren't going to jump all the way to the top of the AFC West standings. They may not leapfrog either of their steadily improving division rivals, the Broncos and Chargers, but the Raiders seemingly are looking at their most realistic shot at improving in a long time. Now, Lil Bro, I want your take on this because we all know what happened with Liam Cohen, the whole debacle with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It looked like he was going to go back and be the highest paid OC or one of the highest paid OCs in football. He ends up kind of just blocking them and not answering his phone, takes the head coaching job out there in Jacksonville with the Jaguars. How do you feel about this? Because this was a guy that we talked about a ton at that time, when we were looking for head coaching. It makes sense. Tom Brady, the connection with Tampa, Spy Tech, total sense with him and why he want to bring in Liam Cohen. What do you think about that? And just because they brought this up, I want your take on this. Do you think that we made the right decision? Because even Mike Jones, this motherfucker from The Athletic, even said that we made the right decision bringing in the guy, culture builder, bringing in Geno, bringing in Ashton Jeanty. How do you feel about this?
This was 1,000% the right decision. Like, look, a lot of us, including myself, we had Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
We talked about Liam Cohen. We talked about Liam Cohen an extensive amount.
A ton. Yeah.
Again, for me, I'm concerned about competing in the division. And that's no pun intended when I say that.
Yeah. Compete. That was a bar.
Harbaugh, Reed, Sean Payton.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have a dude with full experience, has a Super Bowl title under his belt, like a collegiate resume, extensive as well. Like,
yeah,
this was the best decision. This was the best hire at the head coaching position to compete in this division alone.
Yes.
And I sent you something the other day. I sent you an article that NFL Network came out with. They had an article ranking the divisions by quarterback, by starting quarterbacks.
Okay.
Boys and girls, the AFC West is ranked number 1.
Yes.
In terms of starting quarterbacks in the division for the NFL as a whole.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like this, I like what we have right now. This could historically be one of the toughest divisions in NFL history, ever. Just based upon, and this is on paper right now, but this is the resumes of all 4 head coaches. The rankings of these quarterbacks, if I told you what Geno Smith was ranked, you guys would be like, are you out of your mind?
He was 8, right? Wasn't he 8?
No, no. Geno was ranked 12th.
Well, there's been several different, because he was 8 in Yahoo. I think CBS had him at 10, and then I believe another article had him at 12.
So let me try to remember this off of the top of my head if I can. Bo Nix was 20th. Geno was 12th. Mm-hmm. Justin Herbert, the most overrated fucking quarterback there is. I know article fucking said it. 11th. Patrick Mahomes was 7th.
Wow. Well, whoever wrote that, having Patrick Mahomes at 7th is actually disgusting. But I want to ask you this. I think that we both can agree that we made the right decision. I think that it was either Ben Johnson or Pete Carroll. I understand that Brady brought his own guy in, right? With Spy Tech. And then Spy Tech potentially wanted to bring his own guy in. It's the trickle-down effect. This is what happens, you guys, when you bring in a new regime. You see with Pete Carroll, right? All the hype was about him bringing Geno Smith in and then potentially going out and trading for Kenneth Walker. There was a ton of Seahawks talk. You know what I'm saying, in the offseason. So guys like to bring in their own guys. It just makes a ton of sense here.
Shit, we talked about Bobby Wagner.
Are
we going to get Bobby Wagner? Are we going to get him for 1 year?
Yeah.
It didn't happen, but it is what it is.
But guess what happened? Once again, Spy Tech goes and gets who? Devin White. Yeah. Right? So these guys, this is the trickle-down effect in football. Look, Stu has talked about this ad nauseum on these shows about these circles. Like, they like to just, it's a revolving door. Because if you're going to go out on your own sword, you want to have your own people in the building at least, right? But I'm going to ask you this real quick, because we both agree Liam Cohen wouldn't have been the right decision. First year as a head coach. Ben Johnson is interesting because, once again, some of the crazy stuff that he was able to do out there in Detroit offensively, I'm not going to take that away. I was a major Ben Johnson advocate for him to come in and be the head coach, but also he had a ton of talent over there, little bro, in Detroit, a ton of talent. And we'll see what that looks like and how, if that can translate in Chicago in year 1. How do you rank the coaches? I want to ask your opinion in the AFC West, because I think that we have the second best head coach in our division. I think that it's clear cut. Andy Reid is the best. what he's been able to do. He's been to 2 Super Bowls as a head coach with 2 different teams. I mean, not 2 Super Bowls. Lost with Philadelphia, to New England and Tom Brady. Then, he goes off and rattles off a ton of Super Bowls in Kansas City. Then you have Pete Carroll, who's won at both levels. Collegiate level, won a championship with USC, won a Super Bowl, should have been 2 with Seattle, 1 beast mode, rush away from having 2 of those things. Then you got, Sean, who won 1 with Drew Brees in New Orleans. Harbaugh has been there, hasn't won 1, but he has won 1 with Michigan at the collegiate level. Just a ton of winning head coaches.
Right.
How do you have this ranked? I think I have it kind of just the way I kind of said it right there is Andy Reid, is Pete Carroll. I got to give Sean the nod over Harbaugh because he's won 1 at the NFL level, in which, damn, I damn near don't want to do that because I think Harbaugh's the better head coach. But just going off of accolades, and notoriety and what they have accomplishments wise, right? That's what I meant to say. Harbaugh may be the 4th.
I think I'm going to go the same way. Reid, Carroll, Peyton, and Harbaugh. And it makes the most sense. I just Reid's resume again, especially when he was with Philly. The team was going to the NFC Championship every single year, just about for consecutive years. They made it to a Super Bowl. Unfortunately, they lost. But again, Reid, especially what he's done with Kansas City, as long as he's been there now, of course he's going to be on top. Carroll, absolutely. The thing with Harbaugh, and this is why I'm so excited in terms of Pete Carroll being the head coach. Look at the turnaround, and this was something that we knew we kind of should have been worried about with the hire of Harbaugh with the Chargers, but look at what he did with the Chargers in his first year.
Yeah.
Right off the rip, he came in there and they competed.
Yep.
And they made it to the playoffs.
Yep.
But Mr. Overrated shit the bed. It is what it is. This couldn't have been a better hire for us at the head coaching position with Pete Carroll.
Sean Payton, 170 and 105. This is regular season and playoffs across 17 seasons in the NFL. 152 and 89 regular season record with the Saints, along with a 9-8 playoff record with the team. So I clearly think that he's the 3rd guy, in this division behind the likes of Pete Carroll and Andy Reid. But I think, I'm going to get the chat involved. Let me know, you guys, what would you have rather had? We'll take Ben Johnson out of the equation. Is it Pete Carroll? Is it Liam Cohen, a guy that helped unlock Baker Mayfield out there in Tampa Bay? But once again, we got a guy that has a proven track record to be able to get it done at every level. I'm going to go ahead and say Pete Carroll was the right move to make if it wasn't Ben Johnson. Salute to the chat. Salute to Jason, my dog. Hunter's in the building. Salute to Jason Hall. Congrats to the Thunder winning their first chip. Salute to them. It's always dope to see small market teams be able to do that. Salute to Tyrese Halliburton in Indiana as well. Kind of sucks to see that, that their season ended that way with Hallie, dealing with that Achilles injury. But they'll be back. It's going to take another year or so, but they'll be back eventually, man. Indiana has always been a well-run organization and well-oiled machine. They'll be back. Salute Jason, man. But the Thunder is spooky, bro. Their run is just starting. They have a ton of draft capital. They have young talent across the board on that roster. Things are going to get dark, man. The Thunder is definitely going to be a great team for a long, long time. Salute to Jason, my dog. I appreciate you. Martin says, compete. There you go. I think it's kind of easy to say here that Pete Carroll's the guy. Fitzy says, Jesse Minter is a great DC. Too bad he's with the dischargers. Yes, a guy that followed Harbaugh over from Michigan. In year 1, he definitely improved that defense. And I think Greg Roman was the Achilles heel of that Chargers team. You just couldn't get that offense rolling. They did have a ton of injuries as well. But, we shall see. We'll see. But Minter is definitely a young, brilliant defensive minded guy. And I think that at some point down the line, he will be a head coach at the NFL level. So salute to Fitzy. My dog, the Mokes is stupid, bro.
Do you see what Jason said?
Let me see. Cohen would be calling us black and silver. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. James Powers, you're about to get blocked. Don't talk about my Kings the way you talking about my Kings.
Okay? I'm about to be unceremoniously blocked.
Stop the cap, James Powers, man. Salute to my guy. some more stuff I wanted to talk about, man. A lot of people, there was kind of like a mixed bag in terms of what Tom Brady was bringing to this organization, Hammer. Like, is he just a minority owner who's going to be a face that's going to help lure free agents in and help, continue to build this thing up monetarily? There was a ton of reports about him being a guy that was going to be heavily involved and have a lot of influence in terms of building this roster up, building up the management wise. He did bring in Spy Tech. There was talks of a ton of rumors about him being the guy that wanted Ben Johnson, right? There was a ton of talks of him being the one that wanted Matthew Stafford. Like, that was all Tom Brady. Well, we got a chance to kind of finally see Tom Brady kind of clarified some things here. Tom Brady clarifies his place in Raiders power structure. This is according to CBSSports.com. There was an article, I believe, that dropped the other day. What was it? I forgot who he was speaking to. I think it was, you know what? It might have been Paul Gutierrez. Okay, yeah, it was Raiders.com. So this was him speaking to one of our guys. This is what Tom Brady had to say in regards to how much influence he carries with the Raiders. I am just a limited partner, so Mark's the boss. And then Pete does his job and Spy does his job, and I think we trust them to make the right decisions. I'm there as a great sounding board for anything that they want to do. A great sounding board. This is what he had to say. He also went on to say that, remember Carroll was saying that him and Brady are phone buddies, that he will be included in decision-making when it came to the quarterback position and so on and so forth. Carroll also went on to say, I thought that this would be a great opportunity of all time to have his presence. His presence is strong. Spy Tech and him go back a ton of years, and Johnny holds him in highest regards. So we're trying to infuse Tom's mentality. We're trying to bring it into the organization because it's good and so unique and so one of a kind. I think it helps us to be a one of a kind franchise. I want your opinion on this, Hammer, because I think that Tom Brady is downplaying the importance that he has with this organization. And I get it, right? Like, he doesn't want people to think that he's heavily hands-on with this organization because, hey, man, there are decisions being made from other partners within the organization, whether it's Spy Tech, Pete, Mark, so on and so forth. I got to call cap on this because what was all the reports of Sam Darnold? Tom Brady didn't want him.
This was and shout out to Wasted because he did a phenomenal live on this, and this was absolutely something I should have done when I saw the article. But this pretty much sums it up with what Tom Brady had to say in regards to Sam Darnold and signing Sam Darnold to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yes.
No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No. 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 Hell no.
And
sums it up, y'all.
and coming off of a massive year in Minnesota, right? Sam Darnold's still young. There was a ton of question marks surrounding him because of can he look like that without Kevin O'Connell and JJ? They have a phenomenal roster out there offensively built around him. They can definitely beef up that O-line, but they had a great roster out there. For those who remember the live, Greg Olsen hit us up. Me and Stu were in Indiana, and he hit us up and he said, if I had my preference, it'd be Sam Darnold. This is before Geno was even a thing. This was in the midst of Matthew Stafford potentially being a Raider, and all that stuff. So I have to say this, man. Once again, I'm calling cap and salute to Greg Olsen. He'll work with whoever he has. It is what it is. He's the quarterback's coach. I know he doesn't have a ton of power out there, in terms of roster shaping and so on and so forth. He's kind of like whoever he is, whoever's the guy, I gotta coach him up and teach him the ropes and how we want to do this thing. But once again, I got to call cap on this. I think that all the noise surrounding Ben Johnson was what? Tom Brady. Yep. All the noise surrounding Matthew Stafford was Tom Brady. All the talk about John Spy Tech potentially being the GM, Tom Brady. And we can go a long list of this. Cam Miller, a guy that Tom Brady was high on. Guess what? He's the guy. Shedeur Sanders, right? All the talk was that was his guy, and rightfully so. They have a connection there. They had a deal in play years ago, an NIL deal. I think Shedeur was like his first client with the TB12 brand, I believe. And once again, a lot of the talk was Shador will be the guy because he's Tom Brady's guy. Once again, I don't want to say this, as it being a fact, but I just have to say, once again, I call cap on this. I think that Tom Brady has a ton of more influence. I know that Mark wants to kind of play the background and just be the guy that handles all the off the field shit. He's bringing in Tom Brady and Spytek and these type of guys so we could be hands off. So once again, I'm calling ultra cap on Brady, saying, I'm just a sounding board. No, you're not. You're not, Tom.
He's signing off on shit. Like there's going to be things that he is like, yeah, this makes sense, or I don't like this. Like,
yes,
he has input, whether he wants to stand on that or not. Yes, he's a minority owner. Is it 10-15% of the team? Something like that.
I think it's small. Isn't it like 5?
You might be right.
I think it's 5%.
But
because I know Wood got that from Cleveland too, I believe. I think it's more of a 5%. And then I think Richard Seymour got the 5% as well.
So you could say all that, but you still have a piece of the ownership.
Yeah.
You're going to have say. You have the experience, not necessarily in the front office, but you have that high football IQ.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have input. You're going to have say with things that you like, the vision that you have for this organization. Like, if you didn't, you wouldn't be doing these things. You wouldn't have brought in a guy that you worked with previously in Tampa and John Spytek.
Yes.
Like, you have an outside of football relationship with Pete Carroll, and you showed that interest in Pete Carroll, and you brought him in as the head coach.
Yep.
Stop. Come on.
Alice Kappa, Devin White, former Buccaneer guys.
Great.
Once again, I understand that Brady is maybe trying to navigate these treacherous waters between media and being a minority stake owner. But once again, and salute to him for downplaying his power within the structure of the
Raiders
organization. I love it. But once again, let's just stop the cap.
I love what Stacy just said in the chat. Brady is just trying to cover his day job because, with his deal with Fox, he has been walking on a fucking tightrope, especially since it was made official of him being the minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. He has to be very, very careful with the things that he says and does. That makes the most sense in the world.
Seawood now too. Seawood now too with Fox and dealing with the minority stake owner in Cleveland. It's treacherous waters.
But you know what? I'm going to put it this way. Who are we?
What do you mean?
Who are we?
We're the Raiders.
You think they're going to give Charles Woodson shit like that?
I mean, well, they're both tied to the Raiders for life now, right? I mean,
but
we shall see.
He's front and center with Brady is front and center now as a minority owner with this organization and working for Fox.
Yeah.
You have Seawood with Cleveland.
Yes. We'll see. We'll see. But once again, I hope they both have no issues moving forward with their day job and dealing with this. But only time will tell. Salute to Burton, my guy. Want to know what y'all think. Which rookie not named Genty that if he plays well can catapult this team to the playoffs? I got 2 guys, Burton, and I want Hammer to follow up with this as well. I think Dante Thornton is a major piece because of the measurables, the speed. We need a number 1 wide receiver. I know Jacoby is technically the number 1 guy, not named Brock Bowers right now, but I think that Dante could be the guy in year 1 if he can continue, doing what he's doing with the pads on come training camp the 17th of July. Besh at some point, it's going to take a little time, but I think Besh will be great for us down the line. But I'm going to go with Dante Thornton. I think that he can just take this offense to another level if he can find his stride in year 1. I'm going to go to the defensive side of the ball here as well. I think that if one of those defensive tackles, whether it's JJ or Tonka, can show some real worth in year 1 with Christian Wilkins dealing with this foot injury. We don't know if it's going to be another surgery. We don't know if he's going to be available training camp week 1. I don't know. But until then, I'm gonna hope and pray that one of those defensive tackles can translate in year 1. Hopefully they get a ton of reps and they become a staple within that defensive line. What you got?
Thornton 1,000%. And now I'm seeing him everywhere. I'm seeing him everywhere.
Order as well. Oh my God.
Salute to our Ooses, man. Did you see the skit that they did with
Yes,
Dante?
I did.
Yo, bro,
I
that shit
did.
had me in tears.
Yes.
Yo, shout out to them. Thornton is everywhere. And did you see this came out? I believe it was earlier last week. The first official depth chart.
No.
Bro, they have Thornton as a wideout. They have Jacoby in the slot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. I
Well,
love this right now.
we talked about this the other day about Thornton being the starter on the boundary, opposite of Trey. Trey gets the other spot, and then Jacoby's in the slot.
I was like, I love this. Like, this is fucking solid as fuck right now.
And once again, it's too early, you guys, to tell if this could, regardless if Dante's a friend of the show and all that. We want him to succeed, but once again, only time will tell when training camp comes around, because you just never know. Besh can go into training camp, which I heard great things about him at mandatory minicamp and OTAs as well. It's just Dante Thornton, you just see that dude, the speed. It's just like it's hard not to acknowledge what he brings to the game. You know what I mean? So salute to Snake Fist as well. Greetings, Hammer and Graphk. Graphk, as you know, Pete was my receivers coach at UOP in 1974. His first coaching job. Pete was everything as a safety. I have complete confidence in Pete from Chester Cotta's coaching tree. Talk, Snake Fist. Salute to my guy. I keep forgetting that one of our own used to be coached by our head coach. Salute to my guy, Snake Fist. Appreciate you, Kemp. My guy. Salute to G-Town as well. Salute Dox and Hammer. With Wilkins having that boot and not having a true number one corner, I'm concerned that our defense will take a step back. Well, this is the thing. We still have time, right? And now there's more rumors heating up. You know, once again, it's the slow time of the offseason, you guys. So you're going to hear a ton of, this player and this player. Now I'm starting to hear a lot more Mike Hilton, manning the slot for us. He won't command a ton of money at this point. It's so late in the game. Training camp is right around the corner. Stephon Gilmore left Dallas without a deal. So he's still available, even though he's up there in age. I think he'll be like 36 this year, 35 this year somewhere. Don't quote me on that, but he's still playing at a good level, not a great level. He's no longer the defensive player of the year type guy, but and then there's other guys available as well. We talked about Russell Douglas and so on and so forth. I think he fits the mold of what Pete wants to do. Big body corner, physical. He's never been a Pro Bowl type guy, but he's always been a decent, just good corner. So there's still options out there, but I'm gonna be real. G-Town, I think that Pete wants to go with the young movement, the youth movement with these DBs. I think that he has a ton of excitement for the likes of a Darian Porter. I'm not hearing a ton about Jacorian Bennett right now because he's coming off that shoulder injury. Heard some good things about DCAM. And also, man, it looks like Stokes. Looks like he may be the starter opposite of Porter if this remains intact with what we have at the corner spot. And then once again, you'll get Darnay Holmes, which I heard look good out there too, Hammer.
Yeah, you've been talking about him too.
Yeah, I've heard really good things
every once in a while. So again, I love what we have so far. We're a few weeks away from training camp. I'm excited to hear more and more as we approach the start of our first preseason game and Uncle Pete goes home. He opens up the preseason against Seattle.
Yes.
So I'm very much excited. And my other concern is, I know we've talked about predictions already. I've talked about predictions way earlier than I normally do. But with what we have right now, seeing how this thing has been built so far, it's like I want to see the preseason now and see if Pete Carroll is going to have the starters out there and get some legitimate reps throughout the preseason. We shall see. And
Calvin, I hope so, brother, because he has the connection with Patrick Graham from their days with the Giants. We brought him back fairly early before the free agency hit. I think we signed Darnay Holmes. We brought him back early, right? We brought him back really early. So it looks as though they have, high hopes for Holmes. They like Harper a lot. So those two guys will probably go back and forth there in the slot. And then once again, you got to get – we've said this a million times, you guys. I know you're probably tired of hearing about it. You'll get a ton of different looks, with, Chin, Palomau and those guys in the slot as well. So I love this comment. Salute the Trap God. I fucking love this. We are a team of 2.0s. Beast Mode 2.0. CMC 2.0. Renfro 2.0. 2.0, and now Megatron 2.0. So Dante, which, like I would be happy to get an inkling of Calvin Johnson. So I know what you mean in terms of measurables and speed and all that.
Yep.
I understand that. Renfro 2.0, I'm assuming you mean Jack Besh, which I respect it. I still believe that Jack Besh is going to be a better player than Renfro, and I'm staying with that take. I don't care. Outside of that one big year that he had as a Pro Bowler, Hunter was always reliable, but he never was a major production monster. He never had a ton of production. He was always that third down guy that you knew you can go to get a first down immediately. Yep. But I think that Besh is going to be better than that. And then Beast Mode, the CMC 2.0, I'm assuming Beast Mode is Ashton Genty. CMC, what do we mean with the CMC 2.0? What is that?
I was trying to figure that out unless he's saying that Genty is like both of them.
Okay.
That's my guess. Okay.
Well, we'll see. But I love that comment. Yes, these guys are going out and getting guys that equally, measurable speed, the way they go about their game. I love that, Trap guy. Salute to my guy. Also, man, I've seen a ton of questions. We've all been wondering about Tommy Touchdown, right? This is a guy that we went and got in the sixth round. He's an interesting talent, like a very interesting talent. Oh, is it Dylan? Yeah, well, I remember people saying that. It's like, come on, just because he's a white running back and he can catch out the backfield, that's not a CMC type situation. You guys, I love Dylan. That is a friend of mine. I support everything he does. But I will say this: if he was even close to being a CMC 2.0, he wouldn't be talked about as trying to make this roster as a running back 3 or running back 4. So we got to stop the cap there with the CMC thing. You know what I mean? Like at this point, Rex Burkhead, one of those type of guys, I would just love for Dylan to make the roster and show what he can do for us in year 2. But I'm going to pump the brakes on the whole CMC situation. But I want to talk about this because this was really interesting as well. Salute to our guy, Levi Edwards. He put an interesting take out there. I believe this was on Raiders.com as well. I could be wrong, but he talked about our 6th round guy, Tommy Malot. And this is what he had to say about what he looked like in mandatory minicamp and OTAs. The former quarterback turned receiver is still trying to find his footing in several areas of the game, but his athleticism should help along the way. He did a little bit of everything in college, and the Raiders seemingly expect him to do the same at the next level. He's not only been taking reps at receiver, but also spending an extensive amount of time with Tom McMahon and this special teams unit. So I'm looking at what he said initially. He's trying to find his footing in several aspects of the game. I don't know how you take that, little bro, but I'm looking at it kind of as maybe he's struggling to find his way at the receiving position early on right now because of all the options we have out there, Dante, Jack, Jacoby, Trey. And maybe he's just going to find his way into the NFL as a special teams guy. What is your honest expectations of the young kid out of Montana State in year 1? And what do you think? Do you think he makes this roster? And if so, where do you have him at?
I think he could potentially make this roster, but they have him doing a little bit of everything. So that's why it's like he's all over the place in a sense. Yeah. And where is he going to fit best? What is going to be his primary position for us? If he doesn't make it, he'll be on the practice squad. But we have to see over the course of the next couple of weeks throughout training camp, preseason, if we see him on the field, where is he going to be getting the reps in the preseason? How is he going to perform in the preseason to ultimately potentially make this 53-man roster? Yeah.
I agree with you. And I think that there's going to be a situation here where him and Dylan are probably battling for that kick return spot, this special teams spot here on this roster.
I believe that Laube does make this roster. I think odd man out is going to be Chris Collier.
I agree. And there's some people out here, and I like Chris Collier. There's some people out here that think that he's better than Dylan. Chris has played longer in the NFL. Dylan's only had 1 carry, you guys. We don't even know what he is yet at this point, in year 2. But I agree with you. I think that they're going to go with a kid that still has a ton of potential to unlock. And I think that Dylan will be that guy there. A ton of special teams reps once again, you guys. And then we already know running back position, people go down left and right.
Yeah.
So you're going to need some depth there. We see how we struggled last year, with all those injuries, and it was late in the season where Sincere got an opportunity, and he went out himself after having a really, really good few games out there. So we shall see. Vincent says, sign Mike Hilton. I'm all for it. He's 31. He'd be instantly the best slot corner that you have. He'd be a starter for you. But once again, I think that they like Darnay Holmes. I think they like Harper. And we'll see also where they have Mello Dotson in the grand scheme of things. Do they look at him as more of an outside guy? That's where he played, in college, but maybe they can see him potentially getting some reps there in the slot. He's a ball hawk. We shall see. But I've been saying this since day one, you guys, and I'm going to stand firm on this. I don't know if the Raiders are really in on Mike Hilton. I think that they're okay with what they have there, and I think there's going to be a ton of different looks, and they're going to get those safeties involved there in the nickel as well. So stay tuned for that. I have a fun question for you, and I want the chat to get involved here. I'm going to mention maybe 3 or 4 guys. Do you remember this conversation that SpyTech had, I believe, close to the draft, maybe right after the draft? Do you remember he said you guys would laugh about some of the options that we made calls for at the quarterback position? Like, it made it seem like he potentially even called the Chiefs about Patrick Mahomes. Like he was just kind of like, he was kind of laughing about it. Like, you guys would be tripping the kind of calls that we made. I'm going to put three names out there, and then I want you to maybe throw a couple into the mix as well. But give me 2 or 3 names that he potentially made some calls for. Okay. I think one is easy. It's Matthew Stafford. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was one that clearly the Raiders were in on until Matthew Stafford made the decision to stay in LA, which I think was the right decision for him. Baker Mayfield, number 2. I think that's clear cut. Tampa Bay, the connection there. He got kind of, unlocked these last 2 seasons out there. I think Liam Cohen leaving also maybe presented an opportunity for SpyTech to maybe potentially try and get his guy. I'm going to go with him. Number 3 to me is Joe Burrow. I think that was the laughing call. I think it was Burrow because there's so much uncertainty in Cincinnati with them. Remember at the time they were trying to figure out if they were going to pay Chase, pay Higgins. Now the Hendrickson situation, terribly ran franchise. They're very cheap. They don't like to spend a ton of money. I think that Burrow was the guy that they were like, you would laugh about if you knew that we tried to reach out. Because honestly, if this thing doesn't work out here in the next year or so, I know that Burrow has a crazy contract, and rightfully so. I think that he's going to force his way out of Cincinnati. And I think they maybe said, hey, let's go swing big here in year 1, and let's make a call and see what Cincinnati potentially would want for, their signal caller out there in Joe Burrow. I think that Joe Burrow was the guy. Is there any two or 3 other names that you can think of that potentially SpyTech would have reached out for to try and man that spot at the quarterback position before Geno Smith and after the draft?
A quarterback that's just recently signed a few weeks ago, Aaron Rodgers.
Ooh, okay.
And we threw his name in the hat a couple of times. I think that could have been a possibility with everything that had been going on.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of other quarterbacks that signed all over the place recently, like Daniel Jones, could have been a possibility. We talked about Daniel Jones, but we didn't talk about him long enough. But I think that was a name that was thrown around there, here and there.
Here's a wild card: Kyler Murray. There's so many question marks out there.
People talked about him too, and I was just like, no.
Well, I think if Tom Brady had his way, he wouldn't bring in a small quarterback
exactly
like a Kyler Murray. So once again, I'm just throwing a wild card out there. I don't know if that was true that they reached out to Arizona, but at that point, you're kind of trying to figure out, hey, who's available at this point?
Mac Jones.
That would be terrible.
It would be, but it could have been a possibility.
And what's funny?
It's so funny because when he was in Jacksonville, pretty much the backup for a while behind Trevor Lawrence, the crazy thing is both of them were first-round picks.
Ooh, Trevor Lawrence is an interesting name.
Huh?
He's an interesting name, Trevor Lawrence. But go ahead, my bad, brother.
They like, the crazy thing is about those 2 quarterbacks, they were one and the same in terms of their numbers respectively, and it's just like, what the fuck? It was like, you could fucking be in a room with a bunch of people and look at these 2, and they're the same exact fucking person in terms of their numbers, and was like, did you really want somebody like that? And in terms of Trevor Lawrence, the shoulder injury, all that shit, would you have really wanted to take that chance? You see what just happened recently with the injury that the Derek Carr sustained.
Yes.
He's done now. Like that shoulder injury for the quarterback position is something that is just incredibly delicate, where it's like, there's a chance there's no coming back from that. I wouldn't have taken the flyer on Trevor Lawrence either.
Jason, you don't need to mention Russell Wilson because he was a free agent. So there really didn't have to be any discussion between any team or nothing like that. He was available to go anywhere he chose. So I don't think that Russ was one of those guys. I know that, we all know the situation with him and Pete Carroll in their time in Seattle, but I think that it was a Joe Burrow situation where they're like, you know what, let's see if we can finesse this poorly ran franchise. I do believe, once again, it was Matthew Stafford, and that's just notable. Everyone knows about us being in the mix for him. And then what was the other name that I mentioned? I forgot who it was. Joe Burrow. Oh, and Baker Mayfield, because of the connection to Tampa Bay and maybe trying to bring his guy.
Baker's contract isn't even that big either. Like,
no.
He got like what, a 2-3 year extension for?
It was like a 3-year, $100 million deal or some shit like that, or something like that.
It's fucking peanuts for them.
Yeah, facts. Salute to the chat. You guys wipe them feet, hit them thumbs up. If you guys are not subscribed yet, what are y'all waiting on? Break them thumbs, hit that sub and all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys so much for rocking with us. As always, the Graphk and Hammer Show, we are here to cover everything Raiders related. It is slow motion out there, you guys. But once again, here the next few weeks, things are going to start picking up like crazy. We're going to have a ton of stuff to talk about. So thank you guys for your patience. A ton of people were DMing me and hit me up in the comment section like, where the hell are you at? And I'm like, well, where the hell is the news at? Because I don't want to just go live just to report nothing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Become Seinfeld all over again. A show about nothing.
The show about nothing. Simple says, Graphk Hammer, it's more important to bring in the coach's guy or the GM's guy, a la Gino or Baker.
Yes, 1,000%. Like,
no, but he said, is it more? So is it more? It's the head coach.
It's the head coach, because the head coach is the one that has to work with these guys on a daily and prep them. Like, it's not just the head coach, it's the coaching staff. It is the offensive coordinator. It's the quarterback's coach. Can he work with this quarterback? Can this running back's coach help develop this running back? It's always the coaches first. Yeah. Salute. This simple as F. I want to go over a few things here as well. Salute to Maxx Crosby, man. He just had another sack summit, pause if necessary, you guys, out there in Las Vegas. A ton of talent out there, the Von Millers of the world. I mean, all the greatest edge rushers. Malcolm Kuntz was out there. Man, one of these years I got to go out there and actually cover this because it's just a phenomenal event. Salute to Maxx Crosby for doing this annually. But Tashawn Reed had an opportunity to talk to Max out there a little bit about, the state of the Raiders and all that good stuff. And I wanted to go over a few talking points that he had in terms of the new coaching staff, the excitement around the organization, and so on and so forth, and what he wants to get done here in the near future. This is what Max had to say. It's an honor, obviously, having the Raiders with a new staff and new regime to come in and show me that type of respect. It means the world, and I think he was talking about immediately the extension that he got. Like Spytech said, it's not about what I've done, it's about what I'm about to do, and I've got a lot of work to do. He goes on to say, anytime that you go out there, you want to be in a position to win. Individual success and things like that are awesome, but it's not why you play the game. You play to win. We just saw it in the NBA. OKC, just a couple of years ago, were one of the worst teams in the league. And I wanted to talk about this because salute to whoever brought up the OKC thing at the beginning of the show. One of the worst teams in the league, but they had a lot of young guys. They trusted the process. They developed, and now they're the world champions. We're trying to win. I want to win so badly. I put everything into it. I want everybody else to think like that, and that's been my goal. Just bring as many guys along as I possibly can. Salute to our leader in the locker room, our captain, Maxx Crosby. Any thoughts on those thoughts of Maxx Crosby? I love the comparison with OKC. I mean, we have a long way to get there, trust and believe. But if you can get Tyree to hit that stride in year 3, right? If Jacorian can hit that corner in year 3. If you can bring in some Ashton Genty in year 1, Dante, Besh, whoever the hell it is, Porter, all these guys, especially the second year and third year guys, if they can turn that corner here, we could be in for a trajectory like the OKC Thunder. What do you think about what Max had to say in terms of, this team's direction and all that good stuff? I agree with them in terms of the direction that we're going in now, the vision that Pete Carroll has, the construction of this roster. But again, I don't care about championships right now. I know Maxx. We know Maxx is a winner. We know Maxx wants to win. He wanted to be here. He wants to stay here. He got his extension. But I'm not concerned about winning a championship right now. Year one with this new regime, I'm concerned about competing in the division. I'm concerned about not leaving this season and being 0-6 in our division. I could see 4-2. I can see us potentially sweeping one of these teams, and you'll be surprised if I say who this team is going to be, and potentially going 4-2. KC.
Who?
I think it's going to be a toss-up of us sweeping one of two teams in this division,
gotcha.
And I think it's either going to be KC or it's going to be the Chargers.
Okay.
It's all a matter of putting this shit together and seeing what they can do for a full 60 minutes. Like,
yeah,
we saw so many things go wrong last season, and rightfully so, but I'm more concerned about competing in the division. I want to see improvement this season, 8 to 10 wins.
Yeah.
Floor is like 8 wins.
Yeah. I
want to see, like, ceiling is going to be
11,
maybe 12.
I go 10.
And I've already said this when it comes to KC. Do not expect to see these fucks win 15 games this year, because they're going to be fucking brought down to reality real quick.
I have them being the team that takes the biggest step backwards in this division, which, I mean, I think they're the only team that can take that massive step back, right? Because they're like the kings of our division. But I have them taking a massive step back. Denver got better. Chargers got better. We got better. I definitely have them taking a step back. Salute to Spivey, my guy, gifting 5 OLV Raiders Network memberships. My brother, I appreciate you so much. Salute to the Kevin Nash, Mount Shillmore. If you guys missed out on those 5, hit the link. It's pinned up top. On both sides, it definitely, once again, helps us keep the lights on over here. So salute.
Before we go any further, shout out to Unc, by the way. He did a great show with you a couple of weeks back.
Oh, yeah, Unc is the GOAT.
I actually took a sound clip from the release video. I'm going to start using this for the alert box when we get certain things.
Let's do it.
But I think right now for the membership, it's only right that I drop this right now for you guys. Hold up.
Didn't work. See, Hammer?
I got you.
Welcome to the dark side.
Going up.
I like that.
Gets me every time.
I like that. We gotta use that every time we get some new members in the building. That is dope. Salute to Ant in the building. Gray Dot Gang. Somebody block Ant out the chat. You sick son of a bitch. Salute to Simple as F Graphk. Just wanted to let you know the Kingmaker Challenge is growing fast. We raised enough to take 20 young men a preseason game in Vegas. You're an inspiration. That is fire, bruh. Salute to my guy, Simple, man. That is dope, bro. Hopefully you guys have a ball. Let me know. Keep me in the loop what game it is. I think I may be out there for the Niners weekend, because that's usually the alumni weekend. Me and Stu are still trying to figure out if we're going to go out there. But keep me in the loop, Simple. I would love to go out there and hang out with you guys, man, and kick it a little bit, man. Salute to my guy, Simple. And I appreciate you, man, for labeling me an inspiration, man. That means a lot to me, brother. Real talk. Salute to my guy, man. Let me ask you this, man. Going into training camp, because there's a lot of talk right now of potentially, maybe a trade on the horizon. I seen CBS Sports throw out Terry McLaurin to the Raiders.
Yeah.
I don't think that the Commanders allow him to leave at all. They're in their window right now. They would be crazy to move their number one option. I think that Jaden would take a massive step back if he lost Scary Terry, but I think they had us giving up like a second, and I forgot what it was, in order to bring him in. And once again, does it make a ton of sense? It does for us. He's 29. Kind of bring him in at the same age as we brought Devontae in. Still has a couple years that he can play at a high clip. I like Scary Terry. I like him a lot. But you just drafted Dante Thornton. You just drafted Jack Besh. The only way you do this is if you choose to move on from Jacoby, and then you pay Scary Terry, and he's your clear-cut number one option. Right. But I don't think this is going to happen. A lot of people are asking me, because CBS Sports put it out there, and we talked about it a few weeks ago as well. of potentially making a move. I would be totally shocked, you guys, if the Commanders moved on from Terry McLaurin. It makes no sense. But I seen a few other interesting tidbits out there. We don't really necessarily need a wide receiver right now. I think that with the young guys and Chip Kelly running the O, they're going to be up to speed pretty quick. Maybe this is a hot take, but I think Chip Kelly's going to unlock Jack Besh, Dante Thornton, potentially even Tommy in year one. And we're going to have a phenomenal high-flying offense under Chip Kelly. But we're going to run the ball a ton as well. So this is going to be a run-first approach to set up the pass. But I'm excited because of Chip. So it's not necessarily a need. You'd have to pay Scary Terry a ton of money, but it would essentially take away from the money that you would have to give Jacoby in order to come back. Even more, though. Scary's going to ask for 30 plus.
There's two guys you have to think about right now as we go through this season and as we go into the offseason. Two guys that are due contracts, Colton and Jacoby. Who are you signing first?
Colton, all day. Left tackle is way more of a priority.
And at the same time, it's like you have this receiver in Jacoby. He ain't going to cost you as much as Terry McLaurin either. McLaurin's looking at that commanding top money that like Chase, St. Brown, Jefferson are getting. I'm not giving him that kind of money where I can have a guy like Jacoby Myers that I can have here for an additional 3 years for about $69 million.
Won't cost you a ton.
Yeah, I'm good.
He's still only 28 years old. He's younger than Scary Terry. And he's still yet to really hit his ceiling at this point. Last year, he was just kind of scratching the surface with his first 1,000 year receiving yard year. So, but I agree. I don't think we need to make that move. But there's a few outlets that put up some interesting things. So, with the Christian Wilkins situation, we don't know what's going on. And salute to Christopher Knox over at Bleacher Report. He put an article out that the Raiders may potentially need to reach out to the Atlanta Falcons for defensive tackle David. I think it's Onyemata, I believe. He's a veteran, 9-year guy. PFF had him graded out as a top 10 defensive tackle in 2020, 2021, and 2023. Atlanta did move on from one of their defensive tackles, veteran Grady Jarrett, this offseason. I believe he went to Cleveland, I think. So I don't know if Atlanta would even want to play ball. And once again, they have a defensive-minded head coach in Raheem Moore. I don't think that they're going to want to move on from anybody. And I think that the Raiders, honestly, are okay with having the young guys, a few of these other veterans, kind of journeymen up to this point. The Fotus, is it? I forgot how to say it. But then we got Laki Tassi, the international quarter player. Yeah. We don't know if he's going to be a guard or a defensive tackle. I think the Raiders are going to stand pat here at defensive tackle. But that was an interesting thing that they mentioned. 2 seasons, the last 2 years under the Falcons, started in 30 games, 95 total tackles, 14 tackles for a loss, 7 sacks over this span. This is according to Just Blog Baby. Salute to them over there at justblogbaby.com. That is one interesting name. And then another one is Jamel Dean. This is a guy that may potentially be a cut candidate out there in Tampa Bay. He's due $15+ million over the next 2 years. Once again, Tampa Bay Buccaneer, Spytech, Brady. We just brought in Kappa, brought in Devin White. This is a guy that is a veteran corner. CBS sports writer Cody Benjamin was the one I think that pitched this proposal first that says it makes sense for both teams. This is what he had to say. Dean's 6-year run with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers includes a Super Bowl title, a big money extension, but the veteran has been frequently mentioned as a potential cut or trade candidate due to a $15 million 2025 cap hit, almost all of which the Bucs could clear from their books by dealing Dean elsewhere. To be exact, this is according to Heavy.com. Over the cap notes that Tampa Bay could free up approximately $12.85 million in cap space this year if they were to trade Dean, not to mention another $13.5 in 2026. Benjamin also went on to say, Las Vegas is a logical landing spot. Firstly, because of new coach Pete Carroll still lacks a formidable answer at corner. Secondly, the Raiders have more than $30 million in cap space. Thirdly, the connection there with John Spytech. He was in player personnel department when Dean was drafted in 2019. Does any of these guys make any sense to you? I think personally, I wouldn't make a trade for Jamel Dean, or I would kind of wait it out and see if they cut him. Because at that point, he'd be inexpensive. I think Spytech would be probably the first guy on the horn to bring him in. But does any of these guys make sense? A veteran defensive tackle, or is there any other names that you potentially take a look at right now leading up to training camp?
I'm good with the depth at defensive tackle right now. Like, whatever the situation is with Christian Wilkins, we still have plenty of bodies in that defensive tackle room that can step up. We could even consider putting Tyree on that side next to Maxx at D tackle. I'm not concerned about that. Corner, I'm still very like, we don't have that number one yet, but do I want to go with the Young Bucks and give them a shot first? Yeah. Our linebacking room, shit. Like,
it's interesting.
We talked about this like a week ago.
Yeah.
Fuck. The names that we have, and these guys are it's a lot of veterans, obviously. I'm okay with this because, again, with Pete Carroll here, defensive-minded coach that he is, you're not going to see a base nickel anymore. You're going to see a lot more of a little bit of everything. Yeah. So I would, if anything, I think I'm still on the. We still kind of need that number one corner, but it's also like, can we trust these young kids?
It's going to be interesting to see when the helmets, the pads, all that good stuff come on in training camp, because I want to see how Porter fares against Jacoby in training camp. I want to see what he looks like against Dante Thornton. They both match up very well. 1.64, 1.65, closer to 6'6". They're both very speedy 4.3 guys. It's going to be fun to see what that looks like. I want to see what Jacorian looks like, healthy now with that shoulder, back intact. Like, and then once again, we have a guy in DCAM in year 2 that we don't know what he could be. We just know he's a very physical corner. He has the measurables that Pete Carroll loves. This is a guy that's not a ball hawk. I don't think he's ever had a pick ever at the collegiate level, but he's a dog. He's a short tackler. I know that they like what they have out there. I know it. But once again, if you can use another veteran guy to come in, I mean, I think it's starting to be more crystal clear here too, little bro, that I don't think they're going to go the Jalen Ramsey route. I do believe that the Rams may go get him, or one of these. That is a disgusting contract. I would love a Jalen Ramsey in the building, a tone setter, a guy that can come in and can clearly be at least your number 2, immediately. I think you're paying him though to be your number 1. But I think they're just happy with what they have. I think they want to see what they have there in training camp before they make a move. It sounds like Jalen Ramsey should be gone in July, like the next few weeks. He should be out of Miami. It's crystal clear. I don't care what Tyreek said. I know he said, I'm about to talk him into staying. And no, that relationship is broken between Miami and Jalen Ramsey. He will not be a Dolphin moving forward. So, but would I love Jalen? Definitely. But I think that it would make more sense to wait for potentially a cut of Jamel Dean, a guy that Spytek had his hands in terms of bringing them into Tampa Bay. That would make a ton of sense. Yeah. And then also we got a few UDFAs that maybe Pete Carroll thinks that he can unlock as well. The Mello Dotsons, the kids out of USC. So we shall see. But going to be interesting. Yes, CGR. People are worried about Asante. That's why he's still available. He's still young, right? I think he had a few meetings. Didn't he have one with New Orleans? And I believe he had another one somewhere else. I could be wrong. But people are worried about that neck injury. He's missed a ton of football games early on in his career. So salute to Mondo with that content. Salute to my guy. Appreciate you, man. Did the Raiders jump into the Jalen Ramsey mix to drive the price up? There's no actual proof that we were in the mix ever. I think just with writers and creators that cover this team, I think that we're all just excited about the potential of him coming over, but there's never really been any link between the Raiders and Jalen Ramsey with this new regime in place in Las Vegas this time around. So look, I think we're more hyping this up than anything, you guys. I think Pete would love to have Jalen Ramsey, a veteran who's very physical and potentially can move over to free safety at some point here in the near future. Right, he's 30 years old. But once again, there's no real clear connection between the Raiders and Jalen Ramsey at this point. So I don't, I think we're the ones that kind of threw that into the universe. And then also, I believe CBS Sports, one of those outlets, put it out there that they predict Jalen Ramsey to land with the Raiders. But there was never any real, anything real between hearing Spytek be interested in Jalen Ramsey. So Jay Rader says, Was high on Darian and Melo. I'm happy to see how they do. Facts. I just wish that we still would have got Kobe Bryant. I wish as UDFAs, and I know Atlanta got him. He's going to be great out there. But I just wish the Raiders would have made the call and brought both the Jayhawks in, Melo and Kobe Bryant. Because I think Kobe's going to be phenomenal in Atlanta. I think at some point in the near future, he's going to be a starter for him, and he could potentially be a Pro Bowl type talent out there, especially with Raheem Morris out there being the head coach, defensive-minded guy. He's probably going to be able to unlock him. Ramsey named top 5 teams. Vegas wasn't on it. Well, I mean, honestly, we never really heard him mention any teams. There were mentions of Atlanta because the connections with him and Raheem Morris from their time with the Rams. The Rams because of his time with the Rams, winning a Super Bowl out there. And I think Carolina because his former DB's coach is the defensive coordinator, I believe, out there. And then I think there was another team in Philly. I think they mentioned Philly at one point because of their defensive coordinator and the connection there. But we never really heard Jalen say anything. I know he's kind of put up a few interesting stories on Instagram with colors of cars and kind of playing into things, but he's never really mentioned anything. Let me see. Get a few more questions in, you guys, before we get out of here. We just hit that hour mark. Salute to everybody here in the building. As always, I appreciate every single one of you guys. Wipe them feet, y'all. Make sure you guys hit them thumbs up and make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed yet. Grant says, I want to say Falcons gave Kobe Bryant guaranteed money. Hey, man. I mean, could have. Either way, I think it would have been very smart to reunite those guys out there in Las Vegas. It would have been fun to watch those guys fight for some spots. Just Raiders Baby says, Vinny B said Ramsey is not on the Raiders radar. This is facts. He did say that. But once again, and I love what Vinny B does. He's very well connected to the team, but I don't think that anybody in that front office has told Vinny B anything. And this is no knock to Vinny B. Yes, you hear rumblings in the building. Yes, you hear certain things, but these guys have been pretty tight-knit up to this point about how they're holding their cards close to their chest and how they conduct their business. So this is no knock to to Vinny B at all. But I don't think that Vinny B would really truly know if he was on the radar. But I also don't know the relationship Vinny B has, with the likes of Spy Tech and so on and so forth. You got to remember, you guys, this is year one. Spy Tech is probably still filling out the whole process of trying to figure out the media and all that other stuff. I don't know if there's any real trust there between him and our media figures yet. You know what I mean? So I don't know what he would know at this point. Now, maybe he just heard throughout the building that the Raiders really have no interest there. Could be. But I got to question everything at this point, this time of the year. But salute to my guy. He says, I thought I read or heard that Ramsey named Vegas. No, never did. There was years ago when he played for the Jacksonville Jaguars where he was trying to force himself to the Raiders, I believe in 2016 when we were in Oakland before he went to the Rams. So there you have it. Let me see. Anything else on the way out, little bro?
Nope.
Nothing. Slow motion right now.
Very.
If you guys get a chance to run the show back, if you're just joining. Also, we did a 5 quarterbacks that John Spytek potentially reached out to in the offseason. Run the show back. Check it out. I think I may turn that into a short and upload it on the channel as well. Salute to Simple. He says, our vets at safety make it easier to play our young corners. No need to do any panic signings. Okay. Well, I mean, honestly, we have one veteran safety at this point, and that's Jeremy Chin, and he's still fairly young. What is Chin, like 26, 27?
I think it was like 27.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really think that we have any veteran safeties at this point. I mean, Chris Smith's on a rookie deal. Trey's on a rookie deal. Polamalu just got a new deal, but he's still young. I mean, if you could essentially call him a veteran now, right? He's on his second deal. Yeah. But honestly, we're still really young at the safety spot. I don't think that we really have that veteran. That's why I see a lot of people mentioning Justin Simmons, but I don't think that people realize that once you bring in him, that's why I don't think the Raiders have any ties to him unless an injury happens, God forbid, to one of our guys. The plan is for Polamalu and Chin to start at the safety spots.
Yep.
So I don't see why the Raiders would go out there and even try and take away from their guys that they brought back this offseason. So clearly, you guys, if they wanted Justin Simmons, they could have went and got him instead of Jeremy Chin and had him be one of your starting safeties from the jump. So it's clear cut that they have the guys that they want. Now, once again, knock on wood, God forbid something happens in training camp to one of those guys, then maybe you're forced to reach out to the likes of a Justin Simmons to bring in and man one of those safety spots. So Seattle, man, appreciate you, brother. Been a while since I caught it live. Hope all is well with both of y'all and your families and all the Raider Nation. I'm really looking forward to this season. Go Raiders. Salute to my guy, Seattle Raiders. It's always good to see my dog. He's usually here a lot during the season, so it's always good to see one of our guys pop back in during the off season. Let me see. Let's get a few more questions before we get out of here. Question: will you both do a top 10 Raiders players going into the 2025 season during this downtime? Your personal list got the idea from Carolina Panthers. I think we've already done that. Go back and check out the show 12. I believe that we've already done that. We've done lists for everything up to this point. 5 most players to be most excited about this season. 5 players we're watching the closest come training camp.
Yeah.
We've done those lists several times. So if you get a chance to go check out the channel, brother, you will guaranteed to be able to find that shit. But
you just made the list.
Yeah, you just made the list on some Chris Jericho shit. Yes, Jay, hit me up, brother. Let's definitely link up and go get one. Definitely, man. Definitely. Let me see. 12, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Salute to L11, my dog. Salute Graphk and Hammer and the nation, man. Appreciate you guys. Let me see. But, man, other than that, y'all, kicked it a little bit. I think Waste is going to be live a little later as well. He'll be doing a solo show. So tap in with our guy. John, the thing is this. It's so difficult to do it because I almost have 3,000 videos on my channel. Like real shit, bro. Like there's only, I think, one Raider creator that has more videos than me on YouTube. So it's difficult to go across 2,600 videos to find the top 10 pause-worthy moments from Shillmore. So it'd be difficult because even if we found top 10, we essentially could go back further in the archives and probably find even more pause-worthy.
You might find a top 50.
Yeah, fact. So, but John, but bro, it'd be too much work, and we've said a lot of pause-worthy shit on this channel. I think Wasted is said the most out of everybody. So, NYC, there's an article that the Broncos tried to trade up for Genty. I can see that, but guess what? We got our guy. They got their guy in round 2 out of Central Florida, and here's what it is. But I can definitely see that.
You see what Jason said above that?
Yes. He was Zilla was flirting with the idea on Twitter yesterday. He put up a phone emoji. But he's been trolling for over a year. And he's not even signed with WWE at this point. He's with Booker T still. There's a connection there, but he's still green, man. He's still very green. Let me see. Martin said, I've clipped the time Graph's green screen collapsed. Y'all know top 50 wouldn't. Look, we need a top 150. Like, there's been a lot of Stu said some disgusting shit.
Oh God. Yeah.
T-Way says the best pause-worthy moment was for Graphk was the snowball talk with Wasted. Y'all don't even remember it, but it just sounds disgusting. But man, other than that, man, I'm gonna let my little bro go enjoy his day off. He's been working like crazy. Simple says Wasted top 10 meltdown show would be fire. Yes, the Tyree, the Brock Bowers, there'd be a ton of them. So maybe we have to run that back. But other than that, man, as always, man, appreciate you guys so much. You know what, Hammer? Let's do something. You got tomorrow off, right?
Up until 5:30, yeah.
Do you want to end the month on a strong note? You want to do? Why don't we do a show tomorrow? A way too early naming the starters.
Yeah, we can do that.
Naming the starters. We'll do like a way too early 53-man roster. Guys that start. So I think we should do that. You down to do that?
I'm with it.
Hey, chat. You guys want to do that? I think we should do a way too early. Starters. I think we should do that. We haven't done it yet. That's the one thing we haven't done up to this point. And mind you guys, we have done we've exhausted every single idea this offseason for this shit. So tomorrow will be fun. It'll be fun. We can name the starters, and then we'll name some depth and all that good. We'll do a 53, way too early 53-man projected roster. I think that'd be dope. So let's do 1 o'clock my time, 2 o'clock yours.
That's fun.
Well, and we'll run a quick hour.
Yeah,
run a quick hour. So there you guys have it. We'll be back tomorrow then with another Graphk and Hammer show. As always, love you guys. Appreciate you guys so much for pulling up. As always, enjoy y'all weekends, the rest of it, whatever. I know a lot of people going back to work tomorrow. And salute to you guys so much, man, for just pulling up. If off season, we got over 500 people in the building. If you guys are watching on Twitter, jump over, hit that subscribe button on both channels. And it definitely, once again, helps us remain in the algorithm. And also, you guys, if you guys want those members only shows, keep becoming members, man. Hit those links up top. It definitely helps us keep the lights on, but also helps us do those members only shows. I enjoyed it. I've done 2 or 3 this past month. So I definitely may want to do another one tomorrow before we wrap the month up. But man, other than that, man, as always, love, appreciate you guys. And we will be back tomorrow. Graphk and Hammer show. Way too early, 53-man projected roster. Stay tuned. Love y'all. We out. One.